You've just caught me trying to find the battery compartment for this vintage Star Wars Sandcrawler. I can't find it anywhere. I think it's time for the instructions. This restoration is going well. Honestly, I do know what I'm doing. Honestly. I've printed some instructions. Thank you, Internet. And actually, these are going to be very useful because there's quite a lot going on with this Sandcrawler. And I know where the batteries go now. So let's see if this thing has any life. Now, this Sandcrawler eats batteries for breakfast, 2 enormous Ds, plus an additional 9-volt, plus another one for the remote. Oh, batteries not included, of course. Now, who's forgotten to buy batteries for their kids' presents? Oh, I've been on both sides of that one. Right, let's test this thing. I'm expecting the rear wheels to spin when I flick the switch on. Nothing. Completely dead. Let's see if I can persuade this. No, nothing at all. Right, it's probably the motor. Well, there's only one thing for it. In true VTR style, we're going to have to disassemble this thing. Oh, what a shame. Let's crack on. Hello, it's VTR Dave and welcome to the channel. I'm back at the restoration station. It's been a while since I've repaired something on camera, but today we have something special. This vintage Star Wars Sandcrawler. Now, this one is going to be auctioned off on a charity live stream hosted by Stu over on his Universal Toy Collectors channel. And all the proceeds are going to go to the charity Give Kids the World. You might be wondering, where has this amazing vehicle actually come from? Well, it's from the incredibly generous Gary Moore, who's donated it from his own collection. And he's asked me to restore this so that we can make the most of it for Give Kids the World. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one and hopefully I can do a good job. I think we're a little way off that though for now. In the background, we've got the body, which I'm going to come back to later. There are some fixes required. First, I'm going to focus on this chassis. And on first glance, I've got to say this is one of the most complex vintage Star Wars vehicles out there, even though it's one of the first. Thankfully, I've been able to follow this excellent dismantling video from Galactic Collector. These vehicles are quite sought after. I don't want to make things worse. So thanks guys for this guide. Right, let's see if we can make some sense of this. We've got the battery compartments here, one for the D batteries and for the 9-volt. The back is the motor driving the rear wheels. We've got the off-on switch located here, and this is the circuit board for the remote control. You're probably asking right now, why are you holding an early Japanese race car? Well, I think this is very similar to the Sandcrawler. You have rear-wheel drive, and then you have this wheel at the front with a small turning circle. And when you power it on, it moves forward, and when it bumps into something, it reverses, and as it reverses, that wheel turns, and so you get this kind of motion. And the Sandcrawler is very, very similar. If you take a look, you've got the rear-wheel drive, you've got this wheel at the front, which has a small turning circle, and rather than bumping into something, instead, you have this remote control. And when you press the button, those wheels at the back, they reverse, pulling it back, steering this wheel, and so you get the same kind of motion. This motor is held in by some tabs here. There's also some screws that allow me to remove these tracks. But I'm a little bit concerned because there's a lot of componentry soldered onto that motor, and I really don't want to break anything. So let's see if I can get this out. Right, I've made an executive decision. I am not going to remove the motor from this chassis. I've looked more closely. It looks like it still has all the original tape around the wires. All of the soldering is still original. This has not been touched. Sometimes when you're restoring things like this, there is a line you don't cross, and I feel I would cross that line if I tried to pull out the motor from underneath. I don't want to break anything, and I don't want to ruin that original wiring. So I am going to have to try and resuscitate this motor while it's still in place. It shouldn't be a problem, but I think that is the right thing to do in this scenario. Yeah, definitely. I have limited access to the motor, but I'm going to try and spray some of this deoxit onto the spindle that is just visible on the end of the motor there, and I'm hoping it will run down inside. So let's just spray some on, like so. And then really, all I'm going to do is just take the wheels and spin the wheels. And let's hope some of that deoxit will work its way through the motor, and this should free it. We're just going to give this a couple of turns, and then hopefully in a minute we can try out the batteries. I've been spinning those wheels for a couple of minutes. I've also applied a couple more sprays of the deoxit, and it's amazing actually. You can sort of feel the motor smoothing out with your fingers. You can hear it as well. So I'm quite confident this is going to work. Right, let's just turn this on and see what happens. Yes, straight away. How many times have I fixed a Star Wars vehicle just by freeing up a frozen motor? Let's just turn this over. Look at those wheels. There we go. Seems pretty smooth. Right, let's turn this off. I'm going to come back to this remote control piece later because I want to look at the body. There may be some parts I need to buy. So let's get those on order if I need to as soon as possible. I forgot. I was going to spray the switch as well. That should be it. And that should keep it going for several years more. Let's take a look at the Sandcrawler shell. Now, on the surface, it looks like a large block of brown plastic, not particularly inspiring. But when you look closely, every single panel is covered in detail. It's really amazing. It's as if the model builders from the Star Wars film were actually involved in this one. Just look at the detail there on the back. Considering this was made in 1979, they put a lot of effort into this one. Let's look at the features. At the front, we have a hatch here, which is a little fiddly to open. Go on, you can do it. Oh no. Oh, it's not going to open. There we go. We have a hatch that gives access to the cockpit. There's some stickers in there. Some of them look a little rough. Some actually might be missing as well. Foot pegs as well for your favorite characters. And then on the top here, we've got a couple of removable panels. Now these are still there, which is fantastic. Nice to keep it original. And on the side, we've got the main door that allows us access to the inside. Now this particular example is suffering a very common problem on these Sandcrawlers. The hinges are broken. They're very, very thin pieces of plastic. And I guess over the years of opening and closing, they snap. It's not surprising. And this one's just hanging on by a thread. The door is also missing some stairs. So yeah, the characters and droids are going to have trouble getting in and out of this particular one. We have this hole, and it's supposed to house a secret elevator, but that is missing. Remember those Galactic collector guys who did the dismantling video? Well, they also have an eBay site with lots of really cool Star Wars pieces on there, including parts for the Sandcrawler. So I need an elevator and the door with stairs. Now, these guys have been really helpful because I couldn't get combined shipping to the UK. So they set me up a little custom listing. Really, really helpful. So top-notch service from these guys. So I've got some bits ordered. I don't know how long it's going to take because they're coming from the US, but let's wait and see. We can take a closer look inside, starting with the cockpit. Now I can see the state of the stickers. They do need some work. Actually, I've ordered some new stickers from Zach Paris. I've ordered from him before. Really high quality stickers, die cut. They're coming from Australia, so hopefully they'll arrive in time. I probably won't actually replace all of these ones, but for the missing ones, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when they arrive. Now we can look at the floor as well, and some nice detail here. Some steps. And we've got how many pegs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 pegs. So yeah, you can load this Sandcrawler with a lot of your favorite Star Wars figures. Very nice. Now this bar over the top goes right underneath and winds around this peg. This actually attaches to the remote control circuit board that's in the chassis. This is actually the aerial for the vehicle, so that's pretty neat. Now, the elevator will go in there, and this hole is where the battery cover goes. Now, where is that battery cover? Get your stinking paws off my battery cover. While we wait for the parts to arrive, I want to now turn my attention to the remote control. I want to test it and see if it works, and hopefully it does. Otherwise, we might be in a little bit of trouble. Now, I've done some research and I've got some notes down here. So let's just dig into what's going on. We've got 2 D batteries. They're 1.5 volts each. So 3 volts in total are powering this motor. Now, we've got this black cable going from the negative side of those batteries going into the board. And on the positive side, we've got this green cable leading into the switch. And when that switch is closed, i.e. the Sandcrawler is on, that is closing the circuit with the white cable, which is also leading into the board. So we've got 3 volts, negative and positive over here. Now, the batteries are driving the motor, and the motor itself has got 2 additional cables, another black one, which isn't confusing, going back into the board, and a purple one here, also going into the board. And then we have this 9-volt battery, and I believe that's the switch. The black cable is negative, leading into the existing black cable. And then we've got this red cable, which is a positive going into the switch. Again, when it's closed, that is connecting the circuit with this yellow cable going in to the board over here. So this board is ultimately responsible for switching between forward and reverse. And if you take a look at this board, just pull that out. Look at that 1970s technology, capacitors, resistors, all sorts. I'm not going to try and understand that. I'm just going to treat this board as a black box and test all the inputs and outputs and see whether we can get this thing to switch between forward and reverse. So let's do that now. I've added 2 D batteries, so that's 3 volts going to be powering the motor. So let's switch this on. It's a little noisy. Right, first of all, let's just check that we've got 3 volts going across the negative and positive. On the multimeter we do, that's good. And I don't have the 9-volt connected, so there shouldn't be any register on the yellow cable here, which is correct. Nothing there. Perfect. Now, I'm just going to check what's being sent to the motor in terms of negative and positive. So I'm just going to check black going to the black, which is connected to the motor. That's positive 2.9, makes sense. And then on the negative side to purple, we have got negative 2.9. Perfect. So we've got positive on the black and negative on the purple. And actually in this configuration, this motor is going in reverse. So without this battery, your Sandcrawler is going in reverse. Right. Let's now connect the 9-volt. Oh, did you hear that? That switched that motor then. Let's just check what we've got going to the yellow cable. Should be roughly 9 volts, I would have thought. Well, it's about 8 volts. That's close enough. Okay, let's check now the polarity again. So we've got black going to purple, presumably this time will be 3 volts. Which it is. And then presumably white going to black is now negative. Yeah, so that's actually switched the polarity. I've made some notes here. So when we don't have that 9-volt connected, black to black is positive 3 and white to purple is negative 3. And when we do connect it, it's switched them round. So now this is going forward. So when you've got this battery in, the Sandcrawler is going in your right direction. And all of that is controlled by this board. So I think the next thing we want to do is see if we can use the remote control. And I suspect the remote control, what it will do is just basically switch this yellow off and on, causing that motor to go forward or backwards. Let's give it a go. Here's the remote control. It's very simple, just one single button for controlling forward and reverse. This one isn't in the best of shape. The aerial connection point is really crusty. I need to clean that. Actually, the aerial's missing. I've got it down here. So at least we have it. It's just very bent, so that one needs to be straightened. But for testing, I think I can get away with it in its current state. Of course, I was going to disassemble the remote, but we can immediately see the antenna has actually snapped. So I'll remove this piece and then solder on the remaining part of the antenna, and that'd be a nice fix. Here's the button action. On the back, we've got some more 1970s electronic components. And this is pretty cool. Kenner prod on the circuit board. Very nice. Right, I'm going to partially assemble the remote so I at least can attach the battery. What's that? Ooh, a parcel. Now, what's in there? Ah, Galactic collector. Very nice. I think this is the parts. Yes. And with one pair of hands, I'm going to attempt multiple things. So let's just turn it on first. There we go. And I'm just going to see what the rating is between the black and purple. 2.9 it should be, or is this fiddly? 2.9. There we go, 2.9 on the multimeter. Let's press the button. 0. 2.9. Zero, this is working. The remote's working. That is awesome. Yes. Oh, well, let me just turn this off quickly. I'm not sure how this board is working. Maybe someone will be able to reverse engineer that and create a modern rendition of it using something like PCBWay or some other similar site. And that would be pretty cool because these components on the back will dry out at some point and this will fail. The Sandcrawler is rolling forward. Yes, you can see those wheels spinning. Let's press the remote button. There we go. In reverse. Let go. Forward. This is working. We have a fully working Sandcrawler. That's going to go down well in the auction, I think. Nice. I'm really happy this is working. So I'm going to give this a good clean. And once that's done, I'll be back to fix up the remote.
New Star Wars radio-controlled Jawa Sandcrawler.
Let's find some droids.
2 9-volt and 2 D batteries not included.
The Jawa's got the Death Star droid.
Action figures sold separately.
Up the elevator. He's in.
By radio control, you can make the Sandcrawler travel almost any direction by going forward, backward, then forward again.
Now to find more droids.
Star Wars radio-controlled Jawa Sandcrawler. Action figures each sold separately.
I'm now down in my garage because I want to focus on the remote repairs. Now, this little piece here, the aerial goes through, and I think what's happened is that where the aerial had snapped previously, it's been glued, and that's what all that crap is on top. So let's remove that and get this looking like new again. I think that's looking pretty decent. Once this is reassembled, I'll be rechroming this part, so yeah, will look good as new. Next step, try and straighten out this bent aerial. I think I'll heat it up, have a go at hand straightening it, and then roll it between 2 flat surfaces. Let's see if that works. Straightening out this aerial is proving quite tricky, but with rolling pins, pliers, heat, I'm getting there. I've got a little bit more to do at this end, but we're getting there. I've straightened the aerial. I'm really pleased with the results. In the end, I used a hammer against a hard surface, and whilst twisting the aerial, just tapping it lightly, and that's taken all the kinks out. So now I want to detach the old broken aerial and replace it with the new straightened aerial. Well, the old, original, new straightened aerial. Let's crack on. This aerial is being stubborn. Come on. Finally, the old aerial is off. That was painful because there's a brass collar in there. The new one is now in place, ready for soldering. I've even remembered to add the plastic grommet. That would have been a disaster otherwise. Okay, I think we're ready to apply some solder. To be honest, I'm glad that job's over. I think it looks pretty neat. Just needs a little cleanup. I've got some isopropyl alcohol, and that's job done. But look at all the tools I've had to use. Madness. The hard work is now done. We're ready for reassembly. All the parts that I've ordered have arrived, including this door from Galactic Collector. Pretty decent door as well, looking at the comparison with the original. Yeah, I like that. I especially like the fact that it's on hinges. The original doors, well, I guess the designers thought that these things weren't going to last for decades. Also, from Galactic Collector, I've picked up a new elevator. This looks pretty good. The sticker, yeah, I'm not so keen on that, but it just so happens inside this Sandcrawler is the original sticker for the elevator. So I'm going to use this instead. And all the pictures I've seen, this sticker is actually horizontal. And talking of stickers, the ones from Zach Paris have finally arrived from Australia. I'm only going to use 2 stickers off of here for the cockpit. The other stickers I'm just going to move around and tidy up. I think it's time for a montage, and when that's done, we'll see this thing complete and in action. I've really enjoyed this restoration. I've got to know this Sandcrawler very well. It's a fantastic vehicle, and I just want to thank Gary for trusting me to restore this one. And I hope that it can make a lot of money for Give Kids the World Village in Stu's charity live stream. Fingers crossed.
There you go. Pretty powerful stuff. And yeah, that is why we are doing this charity live stream for a fantastic cause. I just want to let you know that before I get my next guests on, someone's put a bid in. Someone has put a bid in for this. So yeah, someone's messaged me and said that they want to put an anonymous bid in. So we've got a bid of $500 or pounds for that. Absolutely superb. So
only one thing left to say. Stay safe, everyone, and cheers.